Welcome back to the Pesky Report. This is episode 517 of the Pesky Report, brought to you by Beyond the Monster. My name is Derek, and I'm here with Jake and Hunter. It has been a very interesting week in terms of minor league talk because we're not going to start with a guy who's in the minor leagues anymore. We will be running down the line. It's our first normal show in a while, which excited about that. I will say that. First normal show that we've had in a while. Obviously, we love having the guests on, and we're very thankful of them for their time, but having a normal show, kind of getting back normal, and I guess the prospect at the end as well is always a fun one. First things first, though, Payton Tolle. I was there in attendance for his debut. I totally didn't drag my roommate along with me. I definitely did. He's actually sitting on the other side of the room. He just stared at me. But Payton Tolle, obviously, big league debut, big moment for the Red Sox. Probably the most excited Red Sox fans have been for a pitching prospect in a long time. I know we were all excited about Brayan Bello, right? But I think Tolle even very much surpassed that level of hype. And I can't personally think of off the top of my head another time there's been that much hype for a starter. Tolle, obviously, overall, the numbers 5 1/3, 3 hits, 2 runs, just the 2 walks, 8 strikeouts. But really, through 5 innings, was dominant for the most, pretty much dominant. I know he had the Andrew McCutchen ground rule double, which was like a blooper that just one-hopped the wall and not even right field, at basically shallow right field. But outside of that, he didn't really get in a lot of trouble outside of outside of those 2 runners getting on in the 6th inning, and he hasn't gone into the 6th inning, I think it was since June or something, or whatever the day was. He ended up throwing, I think it was 84 pitches, which, if my memory serves me correctly, that would be his second highest pitch total, I think, of the year, or at least something like that. So he obviously, they tried to stretch him to 6. He couldn't get through 6, but I think it's a start where you can take a lot away from it, and something that, if you're a Red Sox fan, if you didn't know who Payton Tolle was, you know who he is now, and he's going to be a piece for the Red Sox rotation in the future. A Red Sox rotation that now has 4 guys that are listed at 6'6". So I guess Craig Breslow and his big pitcher thing is going well. It's Brayan Bello and the big guys. I do want to hand it over to Jake. I'll get you on 200, but just kind of overline baseline thoughts on Tolle's debut. I know we're not the big league show. I know we kind of cover the minor leagues, but I think this is kind of an important moment for us to discuss, just because he is the top prospect, and the Red Sox haven't had an elite level pitching prospect really in a long time.
Yeah, I think that he did as well as you could hope. I didn't get to watch a lot of the start, but he was more than held his own, certainly through 5 innings. And I think that he seemed to execute the way that you would hope he would. He got into maybe some jams at different points too, and worked his way out of it. The fastball plays, everything, was as we were hoping and expecting. I think just in the big picture of things, the Red Sox have needed this for a long time. They have needed to show that they could develop starting pitching, and again, we've talked about. You mentioned Bello, obviously, as an international signee, somebody that's come up and has been successful. They gave him a contract, and we've seen other guys get drafted and be starters, like obviously guys that are injured right now, like Tanner Houck and Carter Crawford and a few other guys. We briefly got to see like Brandon Walter before he was DFA'd, and other guys that have, a lot of other guys that have been drafted that have come up have been relievers. So it was really remarkable to, I feel like we always see this happen with other teams where they have this like young starter that like blows through the system and comes up and pitches in the big leagues like very quickly. But that just, excuse me, that just doesn't happen to the Red Sox. And I didn't really see anybody come up with this, but just, the fact that the Red Sox had a starter who they drafted like 13 months ago make his big league debut. I just think that hasn't happened much. I know that they're obviously not a starter, but Craig Hansen was drafted in 2005 and then made his big league debut like 3 months later. That was as a reliever, obviously. I didn't really see like what was in terms of drafting, like what was the last time a starter came up and was that quickly. I had made a comment to somebody that I know that Roger Clemens was drafted in the June of '83 draft. And he made his big league debut 11 months later in May of 1984. So I don't think that I might be off on the year on that. It might have been he was drafted in '84, but either way, it was 11 months. He was drafted in June of one year out of the University of Texas, and then made his debut with the Red Sox less than a year later. I don't think that has not happened a lot with the Red Sox. I can't remember it happening. The Red Sox have had some guys that they've drafted that have come up failing like relatively quickly. Aaron Seeley is a name that comes to mind. There's a few others, but it's remarkable. And I think like it speaks to two different things. It speaks to the development that of the commitment to a development program that the Red Sox have implemented with the pitchers since Craig Breslow was drafted. They identified Tolle as somebody that could come in and benefit from the way that the Red Sox work. And we went from him being this like 90 guy that threw like 91 miles an hour in college. Draft experts like Jim Callis being like, I don't understand this pick. Like, it doesn't kind of, I don't really see it. And then him gaining like on average, like 4 or 5 miles an hour on his fastball. The Red Sox, I think, identified him as a big guy with certain traits, certainly like his extension and things that they knew that they could exploit. His secondaries, I think, have come along better than anybody expected. That's why he's in the big leagues. And, I want to point something out that it's just from a pitching development standpoint that I just thought was a really fascinating post from Robert Stock, who is no longer in the Red Sox organization, but he was, a lot of people talking about did they rush Payton Tolle to the big leagues? Is he here too quickly? There's something to be said, obviously, for like mentally, like the mental toughness and how a guy can handle pitching in the big leagues. But Robert Stock said that the pitches, shapes, and required velocities that are going to excel at the MLB level are 99% figured out. In the past, when it was more ambiguous, you'd have to test your pitches at each level and figure it out from there. Now you know what the explicit goals are in rookie ball. So that it gives you a sense of where pitching development is. Now, obviously, hitting development is different. You have to be able to hit that stuff. But from a pitching standpoint, they've mapped this out, and they know what pitches are going to be required to get guys out at the big league level. And as long as, again, there are other aspects of this, and a guy like any pitcher that goes to the big leagues, the Red Sox or a team has to know that they are emotionally and mentally capable of handling that, and that is obviously in an exact science. The Red Sox clearly did not have that issue with they knew where Payton Tolle was at, and everybody, obviously Hunter's talked to him, other folks, like he was ready for this, and so I think that is one great thing. And then the other great thing I just wanted to mention was that we have seen this year the Red Sox have had 5 different top prospects debut in the big leagues. With Christian Campbell being the first one, then Marcelo Meyer, then Roman Anthony, then Yhoiker Garcia, and now Payton Tolle. I can't remember the last time that happened. Obviously, those guys were not the top 5 prospects in the system coming into this year. Tolle was more in that sort of like 15 to 20 range and then rose up pretty quickly. But like the rest of those guys were kind of all in that 5 to 10 range. If not, obviously there's the big 3, then Yostinson was. But what I'm saying is it's a remarkable accomplishment for the Red Sox player development and minor league development system to have 5 different guys that are top prospects come up and make their big league debuts all in the same season. And it's not a rebuilding season. It's a season where the Red Sox are in the driver's seat for a playoff spot on September 1st. So kudos to everybody involved, and really excited to see where things go with Payton Tolle here in the short term.
I have a couple points about Payton Tolle, but I want to start just with something that you briefly mentioned there. Robert Stock is a phenomenal Twitter follow. Like he's so knowledgeable, and he shares everything, and like he gives you a lot of really good insight. I think he absolutely has a career following his baseball
Yeah, I was just
playing
gonna say
career if he wants to.
I don't know about pitching. Like, hopefully he latches on, but he has a future in the game somewhere as a
Yeah.
pitching coach or a pitching development guru. Like, he's gonna go far. He's so smart and knowledgeable and really funny too. So
Yeah,
I like Robert's
definitely
talk.
helps. Good personality. And then with a couple notes on Payton Tolle. First off, you mentioned how I had talked to him. I think that's one of the big things that people pointed out since he's gotten to the majors is just how good of a personality he is. Like the interview after the game was fantastic, where like he said when he came off the mound, he turned around and told the players like, "You guys are really cool." Like that's just such a good quote. Like he was just happy to be there, man. He was all smiles. He was fired up after everything he did. The fastball looked maybe better than ever. Like he hit 99 officially for the first time ever. He hit 99.2, I think it was, which his high in the minors was 98.9. So like he was clearly fired up. The fastball looked great. The secondary stuff looked good for the most part. There were a couple times where like the curveball didn't really curveball. But it's just the progress we've seen basically since like he's made 9 starts since getting promoted to Double-A. I guess 10 now, counting the major league start. But he made 9 minor league appearances, I guess, because there was 1 out of the bullpen. And when he got to Double-A, that was like the talk. Like that was why people were saying he wasn't going to be in the majors this year. Other than the fact that's a crazy jump going all the way from high A to the majors in 1 year. But that was the big talking point was, well, the fastball's ridiculous and amazing. And that was even like our point was we were like, oh, he'd be great out of the bullpen because the fastball works. You don't really need much else. And it was one of the things I noted was in his first 2 Double-A appearances, like 9 of his 10 strikeouts or 12 of his 13, whatever it was 1 less than the amount of strikeouts he had came on secondary pitches. Like it was a clear point of focus. It was working. The stuff looked better. It's just incredible how quickly like we always talk about the ridiculous jump in velocity, but it's incredible how quickly he has improved on all of his secondaries this year. Like everything has jumped up significantly from the start of the year, and then from just going to Double-A to now, it's just everything looks so much better. He 100% looks like he belongs in the majors. I think barring injury, like barring having to make because something we'll probably talk about a little bit is Yhoiker Garcia also made his major league debut last week. He did get a hit. Awesome to see. I guess technically he made it the week before because we had talked about him a little bit last time. But he got his first major league hit and then ended up getting sent down, which is what everybody was expecting. It was, when Rob Refschneider is healthy, when Willie Abreu, when someone is healthy, he's going to be the guy sent down. Maybe we see him again this year with September call, like with the rosters expanded, who knows? But it seemed pretty clear that he was going to be there for a short period of time. Barring needing a rehab assignment, I don't think we're ever seeing Payton Tolle in the minor leagues again. Like he is very clearly here to stay. That was such a statement start. And you could talk about how it was against the Pirates and the Pirates aren't that great. Their offense has been much better recently. They didn't have an issue with Dustin May. Say what you want about Dustin May, but they didn't have an issue with Dustin May. They didn't have an issue with some of the bullpen guys. Like even Lucas Giolito wasn't phenomenal against them. He was walking too many people. Payton Tolle had the most dominant of the 3 starts easily. And I was shocked he went out there for a 6th inning. And it's something we talked about, and it's something other podcasts have talked about, is this guy is like a classic stereotypical starter. Like he is like an old school starter, like just a massive dude. He's a lefty that throws hard. He wants to be out there. You probably don't have to worry about pitch count as much. So it's not shocking that they were like, all right, now that you're here, we're going to get you up to 80 plus pitches. But I was really expecting his first time out, it was like a hard stop at 70. Or, hey, he got through 5 innings. Unless he's at 50 pitches, hey, he's done. Like, good job, dude. You did your job. And it was even some bad luck. Like those weren't incredible hits in the 6th inning. So it was just a tough way to see his game go from like the most remarkable start MLB debut ever to a little bit of issues because you could say Cora mismanaged it. You could say Greg Weissert struggled. You could say both are true. You could say he shouldn't have been out there for the 6th, whatever. Either way, it was very good. it's hard to complain about much. He was striking people out. I'm so excited to see what he does next. It's great seeing all the fans excited. Like you're seeing, we obviously, like with Crochet, it's always like, oh, Crochet day. Even with Bayo, obviously he did not pitch great today. But that's been a thing with him recently. He's like, oh, Ryan Bayo's on the mound. We're good. It took 2 innings of Payton Tolle for people to be like, I can't wait for Payton Tolle's next start. Like, this is so much fun. So that's awesome. And then just 2 other quick points. One, this is why you should pay attention to the minor league system. Like, I'm going to plug our show, Sox Prospects, whatever. This guy was not on people's I'm not saying he wasn't on people's radar. He was the second round pick last year, but he was not on people's radar as even close to a legitimate option for this season when the year started. Like, no one was talking about that. And I'm not saying we were talking about that either. I'm just saying, like, the rapid ascension to him getting here. And it's something Jared Carabas mentioned on Section 10 yesterday, today, whatever. Getting to watch these guys through the minors is something you didn't really get to do a bunch of years ago, but now with social media, it's so much easier. You have people posting videos, you have Sox Prospects giving you absurdly detailed reports on these people, which they've been around for forever, but obviously, again, they're just much more accessible. And it gets fans more invested in these guys. And after the big 3 graduated, like after, Kyle Teal gets traded, Braden Montgomery gets traded, Roman Anthony, Marcelo Meyer, Christian Campbell all get promoted. It was a little bit harder to sell fans on, like, the, hey, pay attention to the minor leagues, because it was like Franklin Arias is good and Payton Tolle's exciting, but now you have Payton Tolle already making it to the majors and being electric, and I feel like that's like the perfect sign of, like, hey, these guys kind of can come out of nowhere. And it's just it's fun to get to watch them and get excited about them. So just always pay attention. By the end of the year, we might be talking about someone like Gerardo Rodriguez, who's been phenomenal in Single A, and people are going to be like, who the hell is that? And then by midway through next year, maybe he's a really good prospect. These guys come out of nowhere. And then last point, that was the most fun debut I think I've ever watched. With, like, Roman Anthony was the higher rated prospect. He was the top prospect in baseball, all that stuff. But with position players, you're only getting, like Roman Anthony had 4 at-bats that game. I think he went over 4. But, like, so you only got, like, these tiny spurts, and then it was like, oh, maybe 4 balls will get hit to him in right field. Like, you don't get to see all that. With Payton Tolle, it was like he's on the mound for the first 6 innings of the game. You're getting him every single pitch for a half inning, and then he sits down for 5 minutes while everybody talks about, like, holy hell, he just struck out 2 guys on 99, and he was jacked up off the mound and all. And, in the second inning, there was a guy on third with no outs, and he didn't let him score because he struck out the next 2 guys. Like, that was electric. And, like, honestly, I think the 2 most fun debuts I've had this year are Hunter Dobbins and Payton Tolle. Like, watching a pitching prospect debut is just on a different level because you get to be involved in every pitch. Like, when Marcelo Meyer, Roman Anthony, Christian Campbell, whoever, Stinson Garcia, when they make their debuts, it's like you're locked into them for that 1 at bat. And then it's like, all right, I'll see you in 2 innings. With a pitcher, it's so much fun. That was the most electric debut I think I've ever seen. Like, that was just so much fun. And it was great to see Fenway fall in love with him immediately, and Twitter fall in love with him immediately. And everybody's ready for Payton Tolle to be a staple of this rotation for the next 10 years. And it's just like the Red Sox now have Crochet, Bayo, Tolle locked in for a while now. You've got Lucas Giolito, who's been awesome. Obviously, he'll probably be opting out at the end of the year because he's about to hit his innings to be able to do so. But, like, there's a lot of fun stuff going on with this team right now. And you've got Hunter Dobbins in there. Like, there's a lot of homegrown guys, which to me is really fun. You've got Bayo and Tolle, you've got Hunter Dobbins, you've got Cutter Crawford, you've got Tanner Houck. And then in AAA, you've got David Sandlin, Tyler Uberstein, Kyle Harrison. I know he's not a homegrown guy, but, like, there's a lot of reasons to be excited about the pitching on this team, which is something I feel like we haven't said in 15 years.
And I do want to piggyback off a couple of things you said, Hunter. In regards to a specific person, in regards to, you bring up the secondary stuff at Tolle and how much it has improved over the course of the year. we kind of saw something similar last year with Luis Perales, where they were very much focused on his secondaries. They didn't have him throw his fastball nearly as much, and he really burst onto the scene last year. Obviously, Sean happens, and he gets, has to do that and whatever. He's back throwing 5 BP, so that's always fun to see. He's hitting 99 as well, so that's a fun one. So add Luis Perales to the list of names as well on that. Just the pitching development has been, with Tolle, and you kind of we saw I think we kind of looking back at it now, see kind of the shades of what they kind of with Tolle in terms of how they've really developed his secondaries this year. And you kind of saw that with Perales last year. And now you're thinking, oh, you got Crochet, Bayo, Tolle in the big leagues. Depending on what Perales looks like when he comes back after Tommy John, that could be another electric pitching debut in the next calendar year, which is absurd. And then also, we're not going to get totally into it, but then you look at their draft class this past year, right? And opportunities for other guys in the coming years to potentially have electric pitching debuts, right? This is, almost unheard of for the Red Sox, like you mentioned, Hunter. The pitching in the system has not been this good in probably forever. Probably. With that, though, let's kind of get into a regular scheduled minor league talk. We're 20 minutes in. We're going to run down the line. Let's start in Worcester. I want to start just on kind of because we did talk about the big league team. I just want to start on Abraham Toro's absurd week, just because 3 homers this past week. Yeah, he struck out 10 times, right? But it seems very clear that if depending on how things go with the big league team, when Toro's able to be called back up again, he very seemingly be an option. The Red Sox brought back Ali Sanchez for who knows basically be the third catcher, which basically means he's never going to play, unless God forbid all else fails. So don't be shocked if you see Abraham Toro in the big leagues at some point anytime soon. Also too, he can also play first base. So if they start giving Romy more and more run at second base, with Nathaniel Lowe playing first, it's not kind of nice to have Toro there in terms of he can be the backup first base. I say backup in air quotes because obviously Romy kind of is the backup first baseman. But also to switch hitter, who knows? Maybe he gets hot again. Other than that, I'll kind of hand it off to Hunter. Let Hunter take it first. What else is on the position player side in Worcester?
Yeah, Abraham Toro seemed like he was just swinging angry this week. I think he wanted to prove a point because the strikeouts were up, but he was hitting the ball very hard. Mikey Romero, another.
Oh, the old Kyle Schwarber approach.
Yeah.
Hit the ball really far when you hit it, and if you don't hit it, too bad. You'll hit it at some point.
Mikey Romero's just 6 for 25, which isn't a great week, but he did hit 4 doubles. He's been hitting the ball really hard since getting to Worcester, which is awesome to see. He's up to 26 doubles on the year between AA and AAA. Max Ferguson had his first AAA homer on Sunday. He's been very solid since getting there, 273, 385, 500 slash, 2 doubles and a homer. And then Tyler McDonough ended the week on an awesome note, 2 homers, 6 RBIs on Sunday. He's having a decent enough year in AAA. I think it was Chris Hatfield of Sox Prospects mentioned him as a potential option for September when people yesterday, when people were asking who it was going to be. He just said I would like to see someone like Tyler McDonough get a chance. He does seem like someone that would fit the mold. He plays a ton of different positions. He can play second, third, short, outfield. He's a switch hitter. He gets on base. He can steal bases. He's not fast. He's not super fast or anything, but he can steal a base. It doesn't seem like he's going to get the chance. The Ali Sanchez move I thought was a little weird. If I was, don't get me wrong, it's not like either of them have been lighting the world on fire, but if I'm Chadwick Trump or Sebi Zavala, I'm a little pissed off. I'm we've been here. What else could we do? Not that either of them have been phenomenal, but Ali Sanchez also hasn't been phenomenal.
Unless the plan is to get rid of him very soon.
That very well could be the plan.
I am assuming is the plan.
Yeah, hey, you're here for 3 days again, kind of, because Cora even brought up again, Carlos Narvaez wasn't feeling great a couple weeks ago. So maybe it's just one of those things where they're hey, let's make sure Narvaez is good. And then I still feel like it's going to be Christian Campbell is the one that ends up getting the call for the stretch. He's I know people have been pointing out the numbers where like the poor hit percentage isn't great and all that. It's pretty bad. But it's the thing we've talked about a bunch where like the zone contact is getting better. Like all the stuff that was great last year is starting to look good again this year. They have him playing the multiple positions. Like it feels like they're priming him to, he's not going to play every day, but he'll be a guy that they cycle in at different positions. He's a good right-handed bat. Like I think he's going to end up being the option. But Tyler McDonough, I after yesterday's game and then seeing the Chris Hatfield comment, I was like, yeah, that it really would be this does seem like a good opportunity to get him a short chance in the majors. But yeah, that's all I got for the hitters.
I think that yeah, the Ali Sanchez thing, that was just like came out of literally nowhere. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, last night under the wire, they made this minor trade, cash considerations for Ali Sanchez, acquiring him for the second time this year. Of all the guys to acquire twice in a season, Ali Sanchez is an interesting one. I think that the sense and hope is that Yhoiker Abreu is going to be back in a matter of a couple of days, as long as it doesn't seem like he's even going to go on a rehab assignment. And that would be the Ali Sanchez spot. I think that Toro, obviously, yeah, big week for him. I think that the Red Sox, just because of timing of things, they went with Sogard for that spot that they needed when Nathaniel Lowe was out on paternity leave. I think that it's going to be very fascinating to see how that all shakes out, because so now they can't bring Sogard back for a while because of the rules. They can't bring Garcia back for a while because of the rules, unless somebody gets hurt. So Eaton's on the roster now. It seems like they're pretty committed to Hamilton. I guess that I would push back on the idea of Christian Campbell, and I think it was Chris Smith from Mass Life who basically said that in the short term, he's not an option. Like he's not the September 1st call up, but it is possible that we see him before the end of the year. I don't really know what good it does Christian Campbell to come up and not play every day. Like he's just been, I think there are enough things that he needs to work on that I think he should play. If I was handling it, I would play him every day the rest of the way in Worcester. And then it's a coin flip to me. It depends on what spot they are with the roster in a few weeks. If they need him, otherwise I would just send him home and just like try to get him mentally in the right spot to be able to contribute. I don't know what the attitude is going to be. I don't know if the thought is have him be around like during a playoff push and potentially during the playoffs. Maybe they feel like there's some benefit to not necessarily sending him home right away, but I don't really see the Red Sox putting him in a position where he has to meaningfully contribute the rest of this year. That's just my take.
The Chris Smith quote, I kind of interpret it in a slightly different way, where the fact that they emphasized he's not the move on September 1st, that's where it made me think like, oh, they're saying, yeah, he's not September 1st, and I'm not saying they're like, oh, but we're definitely calling him up September 9th. But to me, that made it feel like they do view him as one of their serious options. It was just now maybe they felt like, hey, we need that third catcher for a little bit. And then I'm still not sure what's going on with Yhoiker Abreu. Like, I'm nervous about that whole situation because they seem to keep pushing things back. And then it was like, oh, he's not progressing as well as we thought he would. I don't know. That makes me nervous. And then I just had one note on Ali Sanchez. In 3 games with Syracuse, the Mets AAA team, he was 2 for 11, 182 batting average, 167 on base, 273 slugging percentage. So he's just not been good this year. So just more confusion to that move. And it also doesn't help that Connor Wong's legitimately played much better lately. So I don't think Ali Sanchez is even going to play.
Yeah, just on the Campbell thing, I wouldn't be shocked to see him at some point. I wouldn't be shocked though if it's till like late September. It's like Worcester season's done. It's late September. It's like the last like week. Because looking at it right now, obviously you're going to go back to 26 for the postseason. You're going to have a backup catcher. You're going to have Hamilton, Ref Snyder, and then probably Yoshida goes to the bench. But at that point, I do wonder if it's like, does Yoshida stick around if Willier's healthy? Does Yoshida like even make the postseason roster? Just because like if he's on the bench, he's kind of useless. He can't bench run. He can't play in the field really, or they're not going to play him in the field because you have 4 very good defensive outfielders. So they're not going to play him in the field if everyone's healthy. And like, yeah, I could pinch hit, but like for who? Like most of your lineup are, everybody's probably going to pinch hit. They're pretty much all left-handed hitters anyways, right? So my thinking like on Christian Campbell is like maybe he sneaks like a postseason bench spot, right? Just for a case like that, right? Because like I said, I think Yoshida, if he's on the bench, is kind of useless. Now, do they want us just tell Yoshida, no, you're not going to be on the postseason roster? Probably not, but like,
I don't think they'll care when the postseason comes around.
I don't see a universe in which he's on the postseason roster.
Yeah,
but I was about to say, I was like, I don't think they want to do that necessarily in terms of like perfect world. They didn't, but like, I think it gets to the point where it's like, what's the pro of having him on the team, right?
Seems like a great guy. I don't see.
I mean, I don't see.
Like,
conversely, like I don't see a reason to get rid of him in the regular season. He is a useful bat to get you through the rest of the way. But in the playoffs,
yeah, exactly.
You have enough left-handed hitters. He can't help you in the field. He doesn't hit for power. He doesn't run fast. He runs beautifully, but he doesn't run fast. So it's I made this point the other night. Like if it comes down to like him, Hamilton, even like Eaton, Sogard, like those guys just do more for you. Like,
yeah, and that's where I'm thinking like maybe that's where Christian Campbell comes in postseason time because
maybe
you're gonna because like I'm looking right now that like if you're 14 hitters, like you have like Willier replaces let's say Ali Sanchez, right, and then it's the Nate Eaton spot. Would they at some point bring up Campbell instead of having Nate Eaton around? I don't know. Or when they get to the postseason, do they feel Nate Eaton's really worth having around if they already have Hamilton to kind of be the pinch runner type, right?
Yeah, you don't really need 2 of those.
Exactly. And I think that's probably where Christian Campbell, if we see Christian Campbell, I think that's probably the spot where
I think they trust Campbell's bat against lefties more than Eaton's.
It's just a lot. It's a lot.
I'm so happy.
Like I don't think it's going to be now.
Hamilton's
I think you're looking at Campbell like end of September or like
right,
literally we don't see him until the postseason meet.
Like that's my point is like because I think that between now and when Worcester's season ends, I think he should play every day. Like he should get exposed to the different positions. He should keep working on his swing. He should keep doing those things. If he comes up to the big leagues now, it's like you have Lowe, you have Hamilton is doing well, and he does things that you need. The outfield is already crowded as it is. You're having to like eventually Abreu's going to come back, and that's going to force Rafael to have to play more second base. So I'm not into a situation where like I think yes, once there are literally no games left for Worcester, absolutely have him be around whether or not he's on the roster or not. I think it's beneficial for him to be around the team until they finish playing. But whether or not he's activated and actually plays, I would say at that point, then it's fine because he's not going to be playing anywhere else. So,
On the pitching side of things in Worcester, I do think we have to talk about Shane Drohan because 9 strikeouts this week, 3 2/3 innings pitched in his start. No hits, no runs, just the 1 walk, and that was it. Just I know like he hasn't pitched overall like a ton this year, obviously. Just the kind of getting injured did not help him. But in his 30 1/3 innings in Worcester, he has a 1.78 ERA. He's another. I mean, we've been kind of joking about like, oh, Noah Song being taken. The Phillies are going to take him in the Rule 5, but like, Drohan's an interesting name to watch when that kind of comes around. Just because I can't really see the Red Sox adding him, but at the same time, like, you would assume some team's going to take a flyer on a guy who in 30 AAA innings has a sub-2 ERA, right? Like, it's just that just seems like it's it's a very reasonable thing to believe that a team will take a flyer on Drohan. And it's good to see him have this very much bounce back year. I mean, the last 2 years. I mean, 2023 started off the year well, struggled in Worcester, and then 2024 was just kind of a mess. He only threw 16 innings, right? So him kind of coming back this year and being this new version of himself, being the best we've ever seen him. I think it's really nice to see, but also too, like, he might legitimately be getting a chance to play in the big leagues next year. So I guess if you want to give another hats off to Red Sox pitching development in some ways, you could, because but also hats off to Shane Johan as well for kind of just turning his career trajectory around. Most guys, if they are a Rule 5 pick and they don't make it to the big leagues at that point, they're kind of dead in the water for the most part. Johan's giving himself a potential, second chance in the big leagues, whether it is through the Rule 5 draft again or, with the Red Sox.
Getting picked twice in your career in the Rule 5 draft, that is tough sledding, man. This is a tough game. It is cruel and unforgiving, and they do not give a crap about guys in their lives and their careers. But that is, I mean, if he does
don't
get
draft,
again,
but it got the Red Sox Justin Slayton, so can we really complain? And Garrett Whitlock, so like,
well, Justin Slayton, kind of, right? Like he was gonna get picked, and the Red Sox just went to the Mets and were like, hey, like, let's do a deal because we're gonna pick him. But anyway, yeah, it was great to see him healthy and doing his thing. It's just gone in fits and spurts, and it's always been hard for him to like maintain it over the course of a whole season. But to see him have 9 strikeouts with just 1 walk and no hits in 3 2/3 is outstanding. I wanted to mention Connolly early, who just had, I think, maybe his best start so far in Worcester, or one of his best starts. He did give up 3 runs, but he did in 5 innings, but he did have 6 strikeouts and just 1 walk. So far in the 5 starts with Worcester, he has 3.18 ERA, 22 2/3 innings. He has 26 strikeouts to 11 walks. On the season, between the 2 different levels, he has 122 strikeouts in 94 1/3 innings. And he has a 200 batting average against and a 1.14 whip on the season. So this has been a real the season's been a real testament to once again to the Red Sox pitching development. The fact that like Connolly early was even kind of at one point was sort of in a discussion of being a potentially in the majors this year. I don't think that's going to happen at this point, but like he's truly been one of the highlights of the season so far. So good to see him hopefully continue to pitch well and finish strong in the season for Worcester.
Yeah, and the point I don't think you said was just all 3 of those runs were unearned for early, which makes it look a little bit nicer. Note on Shane Johan, just he topped out at 95.3 on the fastball. He didn't lose too much velocity as the game went on. Like he was still hitting 93.5 range most of the game. I think the last batter of the game he topped out at like 92.8, or the last batter he faced. But like that's been a big thing for him, is the velocity dipping down, and obviously that is a kind of significant dip, but that was also, he topped at 95.3. He was usually sitting like 93.8, 94. So it wasn't a massive drop. And also just like, that was his first AAA appearance since May 7th. Like it was well over 3 months since he had pitched in AAA. He missed 3 months of baseball and then made a couple rehab appearances in high A before getting back up to AAA. So just like a absurdly dominant start from Shane Johan. Awesome to see. He's been fantastic there all year. He does feel like someone who is going to get taken in the Rule 5 again. The good news is, I think this time, if he gets taken, he will play for them. Like last time, it was he had injuries and then he had struggled with the Red Sox even when he got up to AAA. So this one feels like more like, hey, if you get taken, at least that will be your home. It won't be a whole, let's see how long we can stash him on the IL, and then we have to send him back to the Red Sox, and now he's a year behind. And it seems like this will be a better situation for him. But he's someone I feel like I've gotten a decent amount of questions on of, is he an option for this year? And it's not a complete no, but it's not really a yes either. Like, I feel like there's a lot of people in front of him, one of them being Kyle Harrison, who only pitched 3 innings last time. They took him out essentially because he was an option for the game that ended up being Payton Tolle getting called up. And now it seems like he's an option again for this week. What day is it? Does anyone know? Wednesday or something?
Yes, it is Wednesday.
It's Wednesday. Yeah, there's another TBD game, and the rumbling seem to be that it will be Kyle Harrison. which like he hasn't been overwhelmingly good or overwhelmingly bad in AAA with the Red Sox. He's just kind of been as he's working on things. But there's like he hasn't been bad. He's got a 365 with him. The walks haven't been great most of the time, but the strikeouts haven't been terrible. He's gotten a lot of weak contact that have led to some unlucky hits. I'm very excited to see him in Boston because it's been a little underwhelming so far. Like you were kind of hoping. The thought process when they first brought him over here seemed to be like, oh, he'll be in AAA for a couple starts to work on some things, and then he'll be in the major league rotation. And I feel like that trade has been getting brought up a lot more recently because Rafael Devers has started to mash in San Francisco. Meanwhile, the Red Sox traded James Tibbs as part of the Dustin May package, which that has been. Jordan Hicks has been a bigger. And Jose Bayo just had a really bad start in Single A. And he's even forgetting that, though, whatever, that's Single A. That doesn't really matter. But he's so far away. So it's kind of like Kyle Harrison is the one thing fans are holding hope on to. And it's been really hard for them to hold on to hope for him. It's not a bad thing that Payton Tolle is so good that he leapfrogged him. But at the same time, people are viewing it as like, man, you got leapfrogged by a guy who was in high A a couple weeks ago. And like, that's how unprepared the Red Sox feel like you are. So I would love to just see like 5 solid innings from him just to give fans some hope and like, hey, this can be a guy for us. So just a weird week for him where he only threw 3 innings. They were 3 fine innings. He gave up 1 run on 2 hits, I think it was. 1 run, 2 hits, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. And he only got those 3 innings because the expectation was he would start, then he didn't. And now the expectation is again for him to start. So he'll be on like a weird amount of rest / not even pitching much in his 1 game. But it seems like we're getting him this week. And then the only other pitcher, I think the only other pitcher I had anything on was just Tyler Uberstein struggled a little bit recently. He was someone that had been brought up by other people as a potential option. He's someone that needs to be put on the 40-man. If they don't want to lose him, and they will lose him if they don't. He's not looked great the last few times out. The velocity's gone a little bit down. The command, which has been phenomenal all year, has struggled a little bit. Not shocking. Like I'm very unsurprised by him struggling. Just like when you look at the grand scheme of things, this is a guy who had Tommy John in 2022. Didn't pitch all, or in 2023, didn't pitch all of 2023, through 4 2/3 innings last year. He's up to 104.2 innings this year. Very not shocked that he is running out of gas at the moment. I wouldn't be surprised if for some reason he does get called up to the majors. I would not be surprised if he empties the tank and it's just like it's adrenaline and maybe he looks a little bit better than he has recently. But I do feel like the Uberstein train is slowing down a little bit. Just again, it makes sense. He's running out of gas. I don't think that's an indictment on him as a pitcher. I think it's just this is a guy who threw 4 2/3 innings over the last 2 seasons, and now he's up over 100. So it's not surprising that it hasn't been perfect for him lately.
Yeah, the other thing too, I just want to know on Kyle Harrison, or just like with Kyle Harrison and like the Tolle situation as well, is last year the Red Sox, I don't think they had a single game where they had a left-hander start outside of like maybe, I don't even know if they had a Bernardino opener game last year. But like I don't think they had like Rich Hill.
Yeah, I thought that Bernie did.
But they didn't have like many though. But like they're regular, like they're going into their season though. The rotation there was no lefties in the rotation last year. And throughout the majority of the year there was no lefties, right? There might have been like a couple here and there, but there wasn't many. And none that were like, this is like a credible big league starter, right? And we're at a point now where you just mentioned Kyle Harrison. Kyle Harrison's probably getting a chance, or at least seems like he might be. Payton Tolle's made his debut. Garrett Crochet's been, potential Cy Young winner this year, right? The Red Sox potentially are going to have 3 lefties going into next year in their big league rotation, depending on how things pan out. And that doesn't include any potential changes in the offseason as well.
So you forgot.
Rich Hill did not start last year.
Right. I was just going to say, yeah, you looked at the same thing. But James Paxton did.
3 starts for Paxton.
Old starter. It was some starter.
3 starts for Paxton, 3 opener starts for Bernardino. Those were the only lefties.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's wild.
That's amazing to think about. And it's like, oh man, looking through the list of guys that made starts last year, like Chase Anderson made a start. Winkowski made 6 starts last year.
Ooh, that's bad.
Jack Kelly made.
And Patrick Sandoval is going to be around next year too. So like, add another.
Is he though?
Is he? Like, I'll believe Patrick Sandoval exists when I see him.
Yeah, he's a figment of.
Well, I'm also too like my brain
is
is also thinking Houck's going to end up in the bullpen already.
But Houck is not gonna pitch next season.
Oh yeah,
right? He might come back maybe late next year.
Well, yeah, but I'm thinking I'm thinking like as a whole, like in general.
I mean, Houck might get non-tendered. Honestly, like they may not even bring him back.
There is always a case for that too. But like I'm thinking like too, even like when Houck does come back, I'm thinking like I think ships maybe sailed on him starting, even though he was really good last year, right? But just considering.
So James Paxton in his 3 starts through 11 innings. So I'm just gonna assume Bernie maybe threw. I'll go high end and say he threw 5 innings total as an opener. So
they maybe got 16.
So maybe they got 16 innings out of lefties as starters last year. Maybe. That's blowing my mind because like this year
they're gonna get as many. They might get
Garrett Crochet.
They might get that many from Tolle.
They're going to,
They're going to, right? Like
he's going to make 3 more starts if everything goes right. Like,
I think 4. I think 4 actually. I think it's
that's I never would have realized how little that was.
Yeah, I knew it was something.
The answer on Bernardino is he threw 3 2/3 innings.
Okay, so 14 2/3 innings.
They didn't even get 15 innings. Yeah, from lefty starters last year. Though I did just quickly want to touch on Alex Hoppe. 3 innings this week, 3 strikeouts, did walk 2, no hits, no runs, and 2 relief appearances. He's had a really good August. I know if you just kind of look at the numbers, you go, oh, he has a 4.22 ERA in August. He had 1 really rough appearance against Iowa. Outside of that, he's got 7 of his 10 appearances this month have been scoreless, and 9 of his 10, he's given up 1 run or less. So it's really just that 1 rough outing against Iowa on, I think it was August 16th. Outside of that, he's been really good this month, and it's nice to kind of see him. If you kind of go back into July, his last 3 appearances in July were also scoreless. So it's kind of been a 13, appearance stretch where 12 of his 13 appearances have been good for the most part. So it's been a very good stretch for him.
To be fair to him too, that Iowa Cubs team is gross.
Yeah,
like they have James Triantos, Moises Ballesteros, Kevin Alcantara. Like that's a very good AAA team. Nicky Lopez, it's a good AAA team. He was lucky that Owen Cassie just got promoted a little bit ago because that would have been even scarier. But
when Hunter started talking, he was his video lagged behind his audio, and so Hunter was like mouth open over his microphone while his.
That might have been
on your end. No, it's probably definitely on my end. His audio's going, and I'm like, it looked like he was waiting to say something. So I'm like waiting for Hunter to say something, and he's just he's not moving on his video. And then I just hear him talking. I'm like, what the heck is going on?
Which I know we're a Red Sox minor league show, but why isn't Moises Ballesteros in the majors for the Cubs?
Because the Cubs are gonna cub.
Carson Kelly's been awesome, but you have Reese McGuire over him, really?
Someone's gonna do the
Ballesteros was hitting 320 in the majors or in the minors. He got 10 major league at bats. You got a guy hitting 217 with a 241 on base in the majors over one of the best catchers. I know Ballesteros is a terrible defensive catcher, but you're struggling offensively and you're leaving that bat in AAA. I don't know. That confuses me.
Well, Reese McGuire's really, I guess, there was a chance. He was for a while. He was Brian Bayo's personal catcher. So I mean, maybe he's got something with the Cubs, or he's just holding some.
And now it's Connor Wong. Brian Bayo loves him some bad offensive catcher.
I know. Yeah, it's a curse.
Or just whoever's going to end up catching him just automatically sucks offensively just because they're his personal catcher.
Which, to be fair, Connor Wong's looked very good lately.
He's looked better.
He's been good. More than serviceable backup.
But because he hasn't been Bayo's personal catcher as of late. He's been playing more often.
Yeah, he's had to play more often. Yeah. I mean, that's what happened with David Hamilton.
So maybe
he started
next
getting
year,
more consistent playing time, and he's looking more like last year's David Hamilton.
So maybe next year will be the year they bring in Austin Hedges to be his personal catcher because he's not going to hit regardless.
Yeah,
and
there's
then
zero
Wanga
expectation with that.
Yeah, and then Wanga Narvaez can both somehow find a way to play more often. Hedges is just in the game for when Bayo pitches, and as soon as Bayo comes out, another catcher comes in. just like that extent of personal catcher. But no, with that, let's move on to Portland. Big week for the. You can say it's a big week for the catchers. At least people who definitely can list as catchers. You could say 4 homers by Brooks Brannon and Ronald Rosario. Obviously, they didn't both play catcher in every single game they played. It's not possible. They both played 4 games. It's the 6 games in a week. My brain is gone. It's 6 games in a week. It's not possible for them to both catch every single game they played, but they both had 2 homers this week. Brandon, obviously, kind of the bigger week, hit 7 hits, a double with those 2 homers, like I mentioned. Just 3 strikeouts as well this week, and he also drew a walk. Brandon is getting to, at least in my head, he's kind of getting to this interesting point where, he's having a good year. I wouldn't say it's a great year. Obviously, he was good in Greenville. Portland, obviously, 31 games, 208, 269, 392 is not great. But we have seen that jump up to Double-A kind of be a little bit of it getting hitters needing to get used to it. We saw it last year with Alan Castro and kind of the struggles he had late last year, and then this year he's had a much better year. So, but Brandon is interesting just in terms of, he's kind of, the highest, not the highest, the furthest ahead, catching prospect in terms of level, because there's no real catching prospects in Worcester. It's pretty much, in the, high minors, if you want to say Double-A, Triple-A, kind of high minors, he's really the only prospect. Ronaldo Hernandez is there, but that's no. I know Ronald Rosario, but he's not in that same kind of echelon as as Brooks Brannon. So you kind of, and then in AAA, it's Sebi Zavala, Chadwick Trump, and Nathan Hickey, is he really even a catcher at this point? Probably not. I would not consider him a catcher at this point. And then it's Enderso Lira, who's basically just been on the dev list all year, or he's been the 3rd or 4th catcher when he is active, right? So I feel like Brandon's in this interesting spot where, because he is the highest catcher up, obviously Johanfran's in Greenville, right? But with Brandon kind of being the highest one up, obviously how long he's going to be a catcher, that's similar to Nathan Hickey in some ways. There are some question marks about him defensively. Right. So that's always, a question mark. Is he going to be a catcher long term? But he is kind of the furthest ahead level wise of kind of your catching prospects. So I think kind of seeing how he ends the year, but also coming into next year where the Red Sox, place him. And also too, if he's sticking at catcher as well, is going to be, I think it's going to be interesting to see where the Red Sox are going to play. Obviously, if he doesn't get moved, because, anything can happen when the offseason comes. But I think he's going to be an interesting person to watch kind of coming into next
Okay.
year.
Juan Chacon. I tried to get a Juan Chacon fan club going a few years ago. It hasn't really panned out. This week he had went 5 for 17 with 3 runs scored. He had 2 doubles, had 5 walks to 4 strikeouts. So that's good for the week, a 480 on base percentage, 294 batting average. Juan Chacon is very athletic. He can play multiple outfield positions. This season total between Greenville and Portland, he is just batting 231 with a 330, but he does have a 331 on base, which is solid. Just not hitting for any power. I think that there's talent here, especially as a defensive minded outfielder. He has dealt with injuries off and on the last few years. He's also been in the sort of dev list limbo a bunch of times this season with Portland. I think he's been on the dev list at least 3 or 4 different times. So he has to perform or else he's not going to get the chance to play. And I think that maybe it's a situation where the Red Sox might look at other options. If the Red Sox weren't so, had drafted more offensive players, I think Juan Chacon might be in a little bit more danger of losing his spot in the organization. But if he continues to have weeks like this week, he should be. Hopefully, he'll be okay. But again, he only had this week. He had 5 walks to 4 strikeouts, so it's good to see more walks at least. But we want to see more power. At least he had a couple doubles this week, so that's a good thing for sure. And then last thing is just Drew Earhart, who I'm sure is missing his brother, but had a homer this week, 6 runs batted in, just one walk to just 2 strikeouts, so with 333 on base for the week, and hit 308 with an overall with an 871 OPS for the week for Drew Earhart.
Quick notes on Brannon and Chacon. Brannon 9-game hitting streak in August, so he struggled really badly when he first got to AA. Strikeouts average was crazy low, wasn't hitting for power. In August, 290, 313, 532 slash, 3 doubles, 4 homers, 11 RBIs, 22 strikeouts to 1 walk is something he still very much needs to work on. But like the numbers are really starting to tick up quickly for him. That's awesome. He's a very athletic catcher, so like I do think he can improve defensively. He's already made good strides this year. And then with Chacon, 336, 491, 488 slash line in August. Limited at bats. He went 15 for 41, but 9 walks compared to 9 strikeouts, 5 doubles, 6 RBIs. He's a really good defender. He runs well on the base paths. He didn't have any steals, but like he's one of those guys who I'm pretty sure he scored from first on a single early, or no, he got to third on a single to left field like last week. Now it was like a hit and run, but still that's like, he was not even like at second when the left fielder got the ball and he just went for it. He's got good speed. 2 guys that had massive months that they desperately needed. 2 guys that actually were on my, I just finished my August awards, and those were 2 guys that made the runner-ups for Offensive Player of the Month. Portland, surprisingly, we talk about how bad offensively they are. It had 4 guys on the list for me. Tyler Miller was another one. He's on a 5-game hitting streak, 2 doubles, a triple, and a homer in that time. He's someone I feel like we talked about a decent amount last year and early this year as someone who's just such a good steady bat for them, especially with like all the turnover they've had. And like last year when they lost all the big names, it was like, oh, well, Tyler Miller can pick up some of the issues for them. And then he just kind of struggled with consistency, had some injuries. There were playing time things where it was like he was switching between positions because him and Blaze Jordan were there. And this was just like he hit 107 in very limited action in July. He hit 137 in June. But he slashed 327, 356, 509 in August. He really picked it up recently. It's good to see him getting going. And then the other one, Abram Liendo, I talk about it all the time. If he can just have a good offensive month, he is like one of the scariest people in the lineup because he will steal bases. He will move around. He will do everything. And he had such a fantastic April. And then just completely in the dirt in May and June. Picked it up again in July. And then in August, 247, 351 on base, which is what you want to see. 257 slug, doesn't really hit for extra bases, but who cares? He was getting on base. He had 14 walks, 12 for 13 in stolen base attempts. And he hit a benchmark for the first time in his career. He is up to 40 steals this year. It's a massive number. His previous career high was, so 2 years ago, he had 30. Last year, he had 31. So he made a pretty significant jump this year. He's already at 40. If he keeps hitting, he's got 2 more weeks. Maybe he can get to 45. Maybe he can even get a little bit higher. There's some times where he'll get 3-4 stolen bases in a game. So if he can have a big final 2 weeks of the season. He's got 12 games left. He'll probably play in 11 of them. He tends to play every day. Who knows? Maybe he can get to 45. Maybe he can get to 50. We'll see. He's not going to reach David Hamilton's 70, but awesome season for Abram Liendo. He continues to make defensive plays wherever he is. And he's just one of those guys you love to see succeed because defense and speed are 2 things that tend to translate at least decently well to every level. And he's got both of those going for him.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have anything else on the position player side of things. We're going to move on to pitching then. All right, perfect. Pitching. Let's start off with just the fact that feels like Portland got a good start in every single game. Feels like that. Their starts this week, I'm just kind of run through them quickly. John Holobet's kind of continuing the Pesky Report bump with the quality start, 6 innings, just the 2 runs, 6 strikeouts. Dalton Rogers went 6 innings, just 1 run and 9 strikeouts. Hayden Mullins, 5 1/3, 1 run, 6 strikeouts. Eduardo Rivera went 5 1-hit innings with no runs and 6 strikeouts. Blake Wehunt, 4 innings, just 1 run and 5 strikeouts. And then Caleb Bolden went a season high 6 innings, did give up 4 runs, but still season high 6 innings and 5 strikeouts. And that's your worst start of the week. It's a very good week for your starting pitchers. And yeah, like I said, really good week for starters. And just Portland, I guess, is going to continue being, I guess, the kind of place to keep an eye on the pitching side of things for, not like there aren't good pitchers elsewhere, right? But it feels like Portland, ever since especially like Tolle got moved up to Portland, Portland's kind of been kind of the place to keep your eye on in terms of the pitching. And yeah, Tolle's long gone now. Sandlin obviously isn't there anymore. But there's still a ton of talent in that rotation, and they're still pitching really, really well. I think overall I think after the end of the year, we'll kind of look back at this year and kind of look at like the names who have been through Portland this year, and be like, holy crap, that's an absurd list of names that have made a start for Portland this year. It's kind of bonkers how talented of a rotation they've had, just the entire, whether it's someone gets hurt or whatever, or someone gets promoted or whatever happens, there's always someone else there that steps in that's just as talented, which is crazy. Kind of crazy to think about. So yeah, that's what I have on the pitching side. I'll hand it over to you, Jake. What do you have on the pitching side?
I think you mentioned Dalton Rogers a little bit. He's somebody that I've always been fascinated with as a guy that I felt like was maybe had more of a future as a reliever. But he's had a really good run. His last 3 starts, 16 and 2/3 innings, a 1.08 ERA, 22 strikeouts to just 7 walks in those 16 and 2/3 innings. He has given up 10 hits, but he's only given up 2 runs. And the BABIP is 294 in that stretch. So you can't really say he's been lucky. I would say that's sounds like he's getting guys out at the rate that he should be getting them out at. And I remain very fascinated in his ability to be a potential starting pitching arm down the line. Again, he was a 3rd round pick just 3 years ago, and I think that we maybe it's been an up and down year for sure for him. But like he seems to be coming into his own and finishing strong. So you do love to see that. And then on the relief side, I did just want to mention Rita Senna, who has always been one of these really intriguing arms in the Red Sox system, like a big arm, a guy that can throw hard, but he hasn't like necessarily put it together this year for Portland. Excuse me. He does have a 125 whip, although he just has a 3.19 ERA. But this week he had, not only did he go 4 shutout innings in 2 outings with 4 strikeouts and no walks allowed, but he did lock down 2 saves over the course of the week. So he is somebody that I think that the stuff has always been there with him. And I think he's had different periods of time where he looked like he was one of the top relievers in the system, but just the consistency hasn't been there. And maybe, again, he's trying to, hopefully finishing this year on a strong note.
Yeah, not much else to add, really. Dalton Rogers has been fantastic basically all year. Like, he got up to Double-A with just absurd single-A or high-A numbers, and then kind of a little up and down. He had one really bad start that I think kind of skewed his numbers, but like he's now down under a 4 ERA in Double-A alone. I think it's like 3.87 or something like that. He's got a 3.32 on the year. I do know that. John Holobet's really, he's been good all year. He's looked better in Double-A than I think he did in High-A, which is always a very encouraging sign. He doesn't get a lot of strikeouts. Like, he's got 18 in 25 and 2/3 innings, but he's got just the 4 walks. That's in Double-A, in 4 starts in Double-A. But like he doesn't give up a ton of walks. He doesn't give up a ton of hits. Like, he's got a 220 batting average against. He's got a .94 whip in Double-A. He's got a 3.16 ERA, and he gets through innings, which is such an awesome thing to see. It's something I feel like we talked about with Hunter Dobbins when he was going through the system. It was always like, hey, Hunter Dobbins is going to get you 6 innings. Sometimes he'll get you 7 innings. I remember one time in Double-A, Hunter Dobbins went 8 innings and threw 100 pitches, which was like, it blew my mind that he did that. And it's just like, it feels like Holubets is that guy who will get them a good amount of innings every time out, which is just a very valuable trait that maybe isn't always the sexiest thing to fans. Like, oh, who cares if he's not hitting 100 and not striking out a ton of people, whatever it is. But like, he's getting through a lot of innings without giving up a lot of runs, and he's giving a team the chance to win. And it's like, I don't want to compare him to Hunter Dobbins too much, but like, Dobbins was never like this incredibly exciting prospect to people. Like, I feel like a lot of people barely knew who he was when he got called up. Like, they had heard of him a couple times, but he never really sniffed top 100. He wasn't like this massive name outside of people that follow the minor league system. And it feels like Holubets could have a kind of similar trajectory where it's like, people aren't going to talk about him that much because he's not having these crazy games where he's striking out 12 people. And like the strikeout videos aren't always going to be some like, oh my God, that was the most disgusting slider I've ever seen. Or, oh my God, he blew someone away with a 101 mile an hour fastball. But he's just going to keep pitching well and become a good AAA pitcher. And then one day he'll make a spot start like Hunter Dobbins did. And everybody's going to be like, oh, this is a good pitcher. So I'm still incredibly shocked that he was a player to be named later. That blows my mind. And then, best start for Eduardo Rivera since getting promoted to Double-A. And then just Hayden Mullins continues to be Hayden Mullins. I have mentioned it I think we've all mentioned it a couple times now, but he very much feels like a massive threat to get taken in the Rule 5. I think that'll be an interesting thing to see if the Red Sox go as far to protect him, just because there's not that many people that in the minors that they might protect, or if they just trade him before. Because the other thing is the 60-day IL does not exist in the offseason. So there are a lot of people that are going to need to get brought back into the system or into the 40-man. So they're going to have to make moves, and they're going to have to sacrifice some people. And technically they're not sacrificing Hayden Mullins because he's not on the 40-man. But maybe he's someone where they say, screw it, let's just see if we can hold on to him. Why are there 2 Jakes? We have 2 Jakes in here. This is terrifying.
I got like kicked out of the room. Did you guys see me get kicked out?
Yeah, you're still in. Your other one is still in here.
So the other one is spinning. So there's 2 of me on the screen.
No, it's the black screen.
Okay.
But still,
no, it's just the black screen.
I'm getting rid of it.
Fine. Yeah, goodbye. That was Bizarro Jake. Bizarro Jake had to come in and had to leave. No, like, I very weirdly, like, all of a sudden the screen was like, your internet was disconnected, and I was like on like the outside screen, and so whatever. So I just refreshed it. Now I'm back. That was really weird, and it was weird that there was 2 of me. One of me is enough.
Well, we're good. I'm good with Double-A now.
Anyway,
so unless anybody else is.
Can we? By the way, can I just mention is because I want to make sure, like, because we're about to go into. Oh, sorry, Derek. Did you have another point on Portland?
Yeah.
Or, sorry,
I did actually. 2 games this week, 4 innings for Redesena, 2 hits, no runs, 4 strikeouts, no walks. Kind of having a very kind of under the radar year. 36 2/3 innings in Portland, 3.19 ERA, 23 games.
I did talk about him and
no,
whole thing.
I know, but like I kind of want I want to like bring him back up though, because I want to kind of like compare like last year's numbers to this year, because last year he had a 3.56 ERA in 48 innings in Greenville. And he got a little bit of a taste of Portland last year, but he struggled. 11 1/3 innings. He gave up 10 earned runs in those 11 1/3 innings. But kind of coming back, I think kind of getting that little taste of Portland, I think probably helped him a lot kind of coming into this year, getting kind of that like, then I still kind of like, okay, this is what to expect now that, because that jump going from Greenville to Portland. And it has been a very good year. Obviously, like the strikeout numbers aren't as maybe aren't as high as they were in Greenville, but that's kind of to be expected. But like also too, like 25 losses and 36 2/3 innings, like that's compared to the 8 and 11 and a third in Portland last year, that's been kind of a big difference maker this year for him. So kind of, it's just been a very kind of solid year for him. Nothing like that's, you look at the numbers, they're not going to blow your socks off, but just a like overall very solid year and big improvement in terms of that short stretch that he had in Portland last year. So Jake.
No, if we were moving on to, I just want to make sure we mention on Greenville and Portland, or Greenville and Salem, that we're heading into the last regular season week for both teams. Salem is either like already eliminated or I think they are like 6.5 games out with 6 games to play, so they're pretty much eliminated. Greenville is only 2 games out for the second half title for their division in the South Atlantic League. So there is a possibility that they might be in the playoffs next week, but we will be wrapping up Salem season next week. But once again, this is the last week for Greenville. Unfortunately, if you wanted to see them, they're at Winston-Salem this week, so they finished up their regular season at Fuller Field already.
I do want to just say Portland is a game and a half back too, I believe. So they were also fighting for a playoff spot, which is shocking because they struggled for a while and they picked it up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. But they have another week of games after Greenville.
But just because you mentioned the games back, I just thought I should mention Portland. Yeah. There are 2 notes, one for Portland, one for AAA Worcester, which I forgot to mention. Both coach related. August 21st, Chad Epperson tied Arnie Baylor for the most managerial wins in franchise history. He has now passed that. 282 was the tie. He has surpassed that. And then yesterday, I believe, Chad Tracy hit his 300th career managerial win in AAA for Worcester. It's something I've seen discussed since that post came out. He deserves and probably will get a shot on a major league team next year as a coach. Worcester's been, the Red Sox organization has been incredibly lucky to have Chad Tracy as their AAA manager for the last few seasons. And 100% well-deserved, 300 wins, awesome for him. And very happy that he's most likely getting a chance next year, but that's going to sting the system a little bit.
Well, my hope is that Chad Tracy gets legitimate opportunity to interview for major league manager jobs. I think he, obviously the Red Sox would not, if he had the opportunity to go be on a big league coaching staff next year, whether it was the Red Sox or somewhere else, I'm sure the Red Sox would oblige him and let him do that. But I think he has a reputation of being maybe the single best candidate to be a manager in the big leagues of anybody who's a manager in AAA right now. And I know you guys have been, have been around him and talked to him and stuff like that. I've never heard anybody say a bad word about Chad Tracy, ever.
There's no bad words to say about him, though, in all honesty.
So I mean, that to me is hopefully, fingers crossed. It would be a loss for the Red Sox organization to lose him if he goes somewhere else. But I hope that he gets the chance to be a big league manager.
I do want to add just quickly on that though, with Chad Tracy. The Sox do lose him. I would not. I think A.E. Suarez is probably next up in Worcester. He's kind of been the right. He replaced Flo as the right hand man in Worcester. A little bit of wrestling reference there. Right hand man. But I think. I mean, and A.E. Suarez obviously. I mean, he had 6 years in Greenville, and
he would be a natural fit there.
Yeah, he'll be a perfect fit for Worcester, but. Yeah, Chad Tracy sooner or later will be a big league manager, and I would be shocked if he's not a successful big league manager. Just being there and kind of in Worcester and around, and just even seeing he's very he's been every time I've been there, he's been very hands on. I think the first time I was in Worcester, Vaughn Grissom was saying grounders at second, and Chad Tracy was literally being the first baseman for Vaughn Grissom and giving him instruction while he's catching the balls at first base, right? He's been from every time I've been there, he's been very hands-on, which I think the players probably have to love as well. Greenville, Jesus, my brain is I don't know. Moving on to Greenville. let's kind of go back to the catcher. I want to go back a little bit to the catcher position. Kind of bring it back to catcher position. Johanfran Garcia this week, 2 homers, which was 2 of his 6 hits this week. He's very much he's the Red Sox #1 catching prospect, obviously. And I think the big thing with Johanfran is, especially with the season kind of winding down and we're getting to, getting close to the end of the last kind of regular season. Oh my God, my brain's fried. Last week of the regular season for Greenville coming up. Kind of his year where he's coming back from the ACL injury, and then he's played 43 games. He'll probably end up around 46, 47, 48, whatever the exact number is. And very solid numbers in Greenville this year. 250, 321, 433, a 754 OPS, 9 homers, 3 doubles. Yes, he has struck out 57 times, right? So that there's a little bit of concern in that, I guess, in that kind of sense there. But I think with Johanfran, it's just he's put together a very solid year, and next year is going to be can be a really fun, good year for him because kind of they'll have an entire off season. He won't have to be rehabbing an injury. He won't have to worry about that. And we saw early last season, what he looked like early last year before the injury. And we've talked about it tons over the last, since it happened, year and however much change, right? And he's finally come back, but now the thought of him now getting a full off season to kind of get into the swing of things for next year feels almost somewhat the sky could be the limit for him in some ways. Going into next year, I would assume next year, it wouldn't shock me if he stays in Greenville. He's, like I said, he'll probably be under the 50-game mark. I would be kind of shocked if he got moved to Portland, unless he blows everyone's socks off, right, in spring training, which could very well happen. You never know, especially not, like I said, having that full off season. But I'm going to be very excited to see what Johanfran kind of comes into next year looking like, considering. And please, Red Sox, can we stop trading brothers? Please, because people are gonna throw Yastin's name around in the offseason as well. Can we stop trading brothers? Can we please have a brother pair on the big league team?
They were just talking in the Salem game today. They were, because Cliver Salazar came up to bat, and Braden Schneck, the Salem announcer, was saying how his older brother John Frank Salazar played in the stadium a couple of years ago. He's gone. Obviously,
he was minor league Rule 5, right? I think
so.
Yeah. The Cardinals picked him up.
Yeah. Well, but I'm gonna cede this to Hunter, but he is too humble to bring this up. But Hunter was the one that broke the news that Justin Gonzales was promoted from Salem to Greenville, so Justin Gonzales made his debut this week with Greenville. As Maximus Martin told us, he is a large baby man. Not that he's like a crybaby, but and you just see it when you look at his face. It's like, wow, how does this human being exist? Just this giant, huge man who is also like a child. But anyway, go, Hunter, I'll let you talk about Justin Gonzales. But you were too humble to pat yourself on the back for the breaking the story. So I wanted to make sure we shouted you out.
It's funny. I do think that that's the perfect description of him, because if it wasn't for the fact that he was 6'4", 210 pounds or whatever he actually is, you would think that he was 12 years old, because he looks like a child. He's got the little beard thing, but he looks like a child. And then at the same time, if he didn't have that face, if he had a more adult looking face, you would think that he was 25 years old trying to pretend he was 18. But just there was not much else for him to do in single A, which is ridiculous to say about someone who was 18 years old and didn't even start the year in single A. Still one of the funniest moves I think I've ever seen is him starting the year with the extended spring training and then getting one game in the FCL, and the Red Sox, and he went 0-4 in that game, and the Red Sox were just like, yep, single A. We saw all we needed to see. I genuinely think, I know when we had Alex Spear on, he said that there was talks of him just starting in single A right away. Crazy to think about where he would be right now if that happened. Would it have been something where maybe he struggled for the first while and needed time or would he already have a couple weeks in high A and have figured high A out and everything? But it genuinely feels like they probably just wanted to work on a couple things in extended in Fort Myers with him for a little bit. But he was just, he hit like 353, I think, or something like that in August with Salem. Just, he was on a completely different level from everyone else. A lot of hits that should have been home runs, but again, as we always talk about, Salem's just ridiculous when it comes to that. And the only like real negative is that he just hits the ball on the ground a little bit too much. If he can start elevating the ball, that would be phenomenal. And that's something we've seen since he's gotten to high A. He's mainly hitting ground balls. He's had a couple really hard hit liners. He's popped the ball up a few times. 4 for 22 with a walk. He has driven in 2 runs. He scored 1. He's stolen a base. But pretty aggressive call up. Obviously, again, there really wasn't much else for him to do in single A, but again, this is an 18-year-old who started the year not on a roster. And so for them to feel comfortable throwing him into high A for a couple weeks, I think really speaks to how highly they view him. I think there's a lot of buzz in the system about him just from people I've talked to. I think they're extremely high on him. No one has said this exactly, but based on what I've heard, I get the vibes of they think that he is like a tweak or two away, like Roman Anthony was, to like just really unlocking him. Like, because that was the big talking point with Roman Anthony when he got called up to high A was he's really freaking good. The EV's ridiculous. All the under the hood stuff's amazing. It's just he hits the ball on the ground a lot. They need him to elevate the ball. Roman Anthony has been like a top 10 position player in baseball since getting called up to the majors. Like he's been that good. So I don't want to throw that onto Justin Gonzales, but like this is an 18-year-old who people in the system gush about, who is doing everything right. Like he doesn't strike out a ton. He draws good counts. He's been swinging a lot early in counts in high A. I feel like that's very much just a nerve thing. I think he goes there and it's like, oh, the first pitch doesn't look bad. I'm swinging at this. Which is weird to see just from watching him in single A. I feel like he was not doing that often. And then like literally the first pitch he saw in high A, he swung at. I think he popped out, but so I think that that's one of those things that the nerves will settle down. Maybe even this week we'll see him start working counts a little bit better again. But there's so much to like about Justin Gonzales. I still feel like his long-term position is going to end up being first base, which will limit the ceiling a little bit when it comes to like prospect evaluators. They just are never going to value a first baseman as much as they do an outfielder. But he's going to draw walks. He's going to work counts. The exit velocity is terrifying at times. And he's very athletic for his size. I think he's going to lose some of that as I don't even want to say fills out because he's already just a massive dude. Like it's not like he's tall and lanky. He's already a massive guy, but I'm terrified to see what he'll become in a year or two with just more off seasons of working with everybody and with minor league seasons under his belt now and minor league experience. Like it's scary to think of what they can still unlock with him. But not like the craziest, most exciting first week in high A, but it was good to see him get some first out of the way with a hit, an RBI, a stolen base. And even he got robbed of a extra base hit at one point. So like we are seeing some hard hit balls. It's just, it's a adjustment. It's a big jump. He's 18 until December 31st. Like this is just such a young person. And the people in the system seem to be very, 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 very excited about him. So I would advise Red Sox fans to also get excited about him.
Yeah, just my only other note in terms of the position players for Greenville. In the month of August, Big Al was third on the team in home runs with 3. So shout out Big Al, because he is like, I don't know, he might be the greatest player of all time. We're close to it, if not. I don't know. I think he's gonna run for his money on Babe Ruth.
He does pitch and hit. So
you're right. Mm-hmm. He's in the same lane for sure.
Absolutely.
And then I do have notes on a couple people, but I don't know. Jake hasn't really gotten to say anything yet. So
I was just going to also add on, like, I think the number 24 might just be the greatest number in the Red Sox minor leagues this year. We can take a guess on the two players who are wearing number 20. Well, two of the players who are wearing number 24.
Alan Castro and Albert Feliz. Yeah.
And Manny Ramirez. No, wait. Sorry, wrong year.
I mean, Trace Thompson's also wearing it in Worcester, but, like, do we really...
I don't, like, I'm sure Hunter will probably talk about the same people, but, like, really good week for Fraley Encarnacion. 2 homers this week. Maximus Martin did pretty well. The pesky bump, but, like, first full week in Greenville, 4 for 15, 267 batting average. So he did have a stolen base also. So we'll give him that. We'll give him that. And Justin Reimer continuing to sort of be the on base merchant that I think we kind of always has been. Guy doesn't really strike out much, makes good contact. This week he went 4 for 13, but he had 6 walks. So we had a 526 on base percentage during the course of the week. So good to see that for Justin Reimer.
Fraley Encarnacion, like you said, good week. Easily his best since getting promoted to high A. 7 for 19, 3 walks, double, 2 home runs. That second home run, my lord. I think that they had it posted at like 110 exit velocity. That was one I genuinely thought was going to shatter a window, but it hit like right to the side of a window. I would have loved to see what happened if it actually hit the window, because that was destroyed. And someone had a good tweet under the video that they said to me, like, just going off like their best hits of the year, like highlight wise, you would think Fraley Encarnacion was like right under Roman Anthony as the best prospect in the system. Like his highlight home runs and stuff are always just absolutely demolished. He has a pretty swing when he connects. He struggled very much since getting to high A, but the last like 2 weeks or so, especially last week, was just massive for him. Hopefully he can really get going, because the overall numbers between single A and high A this year are very good. And it's good to see him drawing a couple walks, because that was like the big knock on him. Or one of the big knocks on him was the walk rate was just very bad. And then with Maximus Martin, like you said, decent enough week. The big note for him, in my opinion, is just he's played in 7 games since being promoted to high A. He has at least 1 hit in all 7 of them. That's a great way to start your high A career. I did just have one other note on Johanfran Garcia. He had the home runs in back-to-back games. One of them was a walk-off home run. That is his 3rd walk-off hit of the season. He has 2 walk-off homers. He has not played a lot. He just seems to be built for that moment. I've seen a decent amount of people comment on his weight, on his just like his build, saying like, oh, he needs to lose weight, comparing him to like athletes that have flamed out because of weight issues. One, he is not in nearly as bad of shape as some people, like people comparing him to like Pablo Sandoval. And 2, this is a catcher coming off a leg injury where he couldn't play baseball for a year. I feel like coming into next season, he's going to look a little bit better. He'll be in better shape. But like he effectively couldn't really run or even walk for a while. So it's just not that surprising to me that maybe he's not in the best shape of his life. But maybe I'm not going to put him in the same class as Yastinson, but that was like the big thing last year was Yastinson Garcia came into camp last year in just incredible shape and wowing people. Wouldn't be shocked if next offseason Johanfran Garcia comes into spring training in better shape and people in the system are very happy with how he looks, which was the thing with Yastinson last year. And then I don't think anyone mentioned Franklin Arias. 6 for 19, a double, 3 RBIs this week. He walked 4 times, only struck out 3. Another guy who, like, that's been a big thing with him is it doesn't draw a ton of walks. He's been drawing a lot of walks recently, which is very, very, very important. And it was also just good to see him have a good week at the plate, because with the walks going up, it felt like it was like, oh, well, the walks are going up, but the average has been dipping. So it was good to see him have a positive week both ways. And he just continues to be such a good defensive shortstop. Payton Tolle might have officially like the shortest run at the top of my prospect rankings, because now that he has played a game, he is officially disqualified. I think he had it for a month because it was Franklin Arias all year, and then Payton Tolle leapfrogged him, and now Payton Tolle's in the majors, so it's Franklin Arias again. So congratulations to Franklin Arias on being at the top of my list. I'm sure he's telling his entire family, but that's all I got.
Throwing a huge party there for him.
Yeah. I don't have anything else on the position play side. We're good on the position play side. All right. We will move on to the pitching side of things. It was an interesting week. At least it feels interesting because outside of Devin Futrell, who, when he went 6 1/3 in his start, only gave it 1 run, albeit he only had 1 strikeout. The two guys who pitched the most this past week were Manuel Medina and Joe Vygotsky, who both got their 6 innings out of 2 relief appearances. Vygotsky, but in his 6 innings, he also got a save as well. I will mention that. 6 strikeouts, no walks, just the 1 hit batter. 6 hits, no runs in 6 innings. And then Manuel Medina, 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 run. 9 strikeouts though in 6 innings, just 2 walks. Although he did hit 2 batters, but you know what some would say about that. And then adding on to get a 4-inning appearance out of the bullpen from Shea Sprague, who threw just 3 hits, no runs, 5 strikeouts, just 1 walk, and then he also hit a batter. There are a lot of hit batters this week for Greenville. I will just say that I guess they were taking to the advice, very well. Maybe I don't know. But there were a lot of hit batsmen going on this week. Off the top, I'm trying to do math off the top of my head now. There are 10 hit batters by Greenville pitching this week. So, congrats, I guess. I don't
Very
know.
efficient.
Yeah.
Very efficient.
Very efficient. But yeah, that's what I had on the pitching side of things.
So it was Juan Valera's first start in 3 months. He had missed basically so much like fanfare out of spring training. We're talking about like who like the top pitching prospect in the system felt like it was healthy at the beginning of the year. Felt like Juan Valera had all this helium, amazing spring training, makes the Greenville roster at 18 years old, and really for a period of time did look tremendous. But then he gets hurt, and the Red Sox are obviously extremely careful with their young starter, and he is on the shelf for 3 months. What was the injury again? It wasn't an arm injury, was it? Or I thought it was like a hamstring or something, and they were just like really careful.
Yeah, I don't think it was anything related to his arm.
Yeah, I don't think it was an arm injury, but again, the Red Sox are no reason to rush him back. So he comes back, and as you know, Hunter noticed this, and if you watch this, he was hitting 99. So again, no issues with his arm. It was a little bit of an up and down outing. 2 innings. They only had him go 2 innings. Again, they're trying to ease guys back into this stuff. 3 strikeouts. He did have 1 walk, one of the aforementioned hit batsmen. He gave up 1 run on 1 hit. So not incredibly sharp, but you obviously did see the strikeout stuff that I think made Valera a big name. So you think about like how good the pitching has been in the Red Sox system this year, and we've seen the best example of it with Payton Tolle coming to the big leagues. But you think about like Juan Valera injured most of the season, and what an electric live arm he has. Luis Perales has not pitched in a game this whole year. We saw him. We saw there was a report out of from extended spring training or from Fort Myers. He was throwing 99 in live bullpen. And then another name is Jedrickson Paez, who had another start this week with Greenville. He went 3 innings this week, 4 hits, 1 run, but 4 strikeouts to 1 walk. The guy has just like amazing control. So he's this sort of a very different type of pitcher. But and then you think about all the guys that they drafted this year that we haven't seen pitch at all. So the arms are just going to keep coming. And we've seen, and so having Juan Valera back in the mix is so awesome to see.
And Paez, he came out of the game this week with an injury, and I think game day had it as like an elbow injury, but then the report was like a sore hamstring or something. It had nothing to do with his arm, which was a very important thing to note, because obviously that's a scary thing that you don't want pitchers to have arm injuries. But since coming back off the IL, Jedrickson Paez has thrown 8 2/3 innings. He has 14 strikeouts compared to no walks. So it's great to see that the command has not been an issue for him. Note on Juan Valera, Chris Hatfield on June 27th said rehabbing in Fort Myers after going on IL for elbow soreness. So it was an elbow thing, which makes the fact that literally the first pitch he threw of the game was a 99-mile-an-hour fastball. So it's good to see that the velocity was not an issue. just very fun to have him back. He's such an electric starter. We talked about it before it even came out that he was coming back. Like we talked about it last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was. He was one of those like forgotten guys because so many pitching prospects have shown this year, have shined, whatever the hell you would say that, have looked phenomenal this year. Like obviously Brandon Clark has struggled recently, but he burst onto the scene. Obviously Payton Tolle's been absurd. Connolly early has amazed people. David Sandlin's up in AAA now. Like so many people have been fantastic this year, and Juan Valera missing 3 months. That'll get people. It'll make people forget about him. Like literally, his last appearance before this one was May 25th, and he didn't pitch again until August 29th. That's over 3 months. So good to see him back. Gets a couple of strikeouts. Very, very happy. Hopefully he gets ramped up a little bit before the end of the year. Like it would be good to see him get to go like 4 or 5 innings if he can. Obviously it's all about pitch count, but and then just a quick note on Devin Futrell. I'm so confused by him. 4 starts for Greenville, 19 and 2/3 innings, 137 ERA, really good, 112 whip, really good. But so he's only walked 4 people in 19 and 2/3 innings. He's only struck out 7. Like it's working for him right now, so whatever. But I feel like that's like something we have talked about with other people. Luis Cohen, for example, just like you're gonna have to miss bats at some point. So right now it's working for him. Like he's got a 2.03 ERA between single A and high A, 57 and 2/3 innings, only 35 strikeouts, but he's also only walked 14 people. So like he's limiting base runners, which is helping a lot. But it's just an interesting thing to see. Like, is that something he's going to improve on as the years go by, as the season, whatever. But yeah, that's all I really had. Yeah, it was just Juan Valera, Joe Vogatsky. Oh yeah, I did have one Joe Vogatsky note. Since getting promoted to high A, he has pitched 11 innings. He has 14 strikeouts compared to 0 walks, which is phenomenal. That's all I have.
All right. Perfect. With that, our last level of the day, our last level here, we have Salem. And I think we should probably start with Yoelan Cespedes. A very, I don't want to say weird week, but like if you just kind of look at the numbers, it's a little bit weird. The numbers for the week, in terms of just slash line, 174, 367, 435. Went 4 for 23, but he had 2 homers. He also drew 7 walks this week and only struck out 6 times. And he also stole 3 bases as well. So kind of doing everything in some ways. Obviously, I think grand scheme of things, you come away from a week, you walk 7 times, you get 2 homers, and you steal 3 bases. You're going to be happy with it. It just is a little bit interesting. It is a little bit weird just because of the lack of, he only had 4 hits in the 23 at bats, right? But Cespedes overall has a solid year. I think I think there's going to be a little bit of kind of looking at Cespedes' year and just like the comparing it to Arias, which isn't necessarily fair to Cespedes because Arias is Arias is the top prospect in the system in terms of guys who haven't played in the big leagues, like you mentioned, Hunter. Whereas, so it's not necessarily fair. They did come into the season kind of being, 1 and 2 right there with Salem in terms of prospects. But overall, 9 homers for Cespedes, 24 doubles, 5 triples. That's 30 something, 38, I think, extra base hits. 38. It literally says extra base hits. I didn't even have to do the math in my head. So with 38 extra base hits for Yoelan Cespedes this year. He also has 6 sack flies. I don't know. I thought that was interesting as well. But he, 38 extra base hits, I think, especially in Salem, where and still having 9 homers. Right, we know Salem is not friendly to hitters, especially home run wise. Doesn't mean you can't get extra base hits, but still 38 extra base hits in his first year of affiliated ball. Very well could get that number up to 40 by kind of even really good. Oh my God, my brain is not working. It's not putting together sentences. You very easily could get to 40 even and end the year off with 40 extra base hits. Another homer would be really nice. Make a double and a homer, 25 doubles, and 10 homers. Would be I think that would be a really cool way to kind of end off the year. Add a double, add a homer, kind of get those kind of rounded numbers, sort of. 25 would be 25 doubles, 5 triples, and then the 10 home runs if that's what he did this upcoming week. But overall, it's been a solid year. I think it's kind of also because it's Salem goes a little bit under the radar a little bit just because Salem and not necessarily friendly to position player or hitters. But I think overall it's been a solid year, and I think the consensus would be that he's going to start next year in Greenville. I don't see a reason necessarily sending him back to Salem in terms of the fact that he's now been there a full year. I would assume, but you never know. Weirder things have happened. We all thought Nazan Zanatello was going to be in Salem this year, and he started the year in Greenville, albeit due to other reasons. But weirder things have happened, right? But I'm excited to see what Cespedes says next year, assuming he'll be in Greenville, or at least at the start of the year. But that's kind of the only person who I really wanted to cover for Salem.
Go ahead,
Hunter. Notes on a couple people. Nathaniel Uten had a good week, 6 for 18, 4 walks, 2 doubles, drove in 2 runs. Also had a double today. So Salem played today, which they usually don't. Labor Day, I'm assuming maybe they were just like, oh, let's have a couple teams play today. But he went 1 for 4 today with a double, which puts him at 21, which is now a new career high at 20 last year. And Salem's broadcast was mentioning today just kind of like the surprise that he is still there. And don't get me wrong, I do not disagree with them calling up Justin Gonzales, but it does seem like Nathaniel Uten just should not be in single A anymore. And then Starlin Nunez had a triple today. He went for the inside the park home run, got thrown out at the plate, but that was his 7th triple of the year. He also had a really good defensive play. He's just been so electric this year. Just a ton of fun to watch. Skylar King, 6 for 20, 2 doubles, 2 steals. Really good defensive player. He's made a lot of fantastic plays in the outfield. He's got 3 triples already this year. He's got a ton of speed. He's been very good since showing up in Salem. He was one of the Red Sox draft picks this year. Cliver Salazar continues to pick it up with the bat a little bit. And then D'Angelo Ortiz is the other one. 6 for 20, a double, 2 RBIs last week. And then today in their game, he went 3 for 4, 3 RBIs. His last at-bat was a hard hit fly ball. He does not have a home run yet. So off the bat for about a quarter of a second, I got excited just because he was having such a good game. I thought maybe this is it. And then I did just want to mention Gerardo Rodriguez continues to impress the hell out of me defensively. He threw out 2 more base runners today. The first one was just an absolute bullet. And he's looked so much better with the bat than I thought he would. Again, I've talked about this a ton, just how he showed up a little bit last year. No power, didn't have power in the FCL. And now this year he's got, in very limited time with Salem, I should say, he's already up to 3 doubles and 3 homers. So if he has a bat, that's a legitimate catching prospect. Like, that is a terrifyingly good catching prospect, just because the defense is that good. And then I guess I did want to just mention Anderson Furman got promoted last week. Struggled so far. Obviously, it's only been 4 games. I don't want to get too into it, but my fear of his issues has come to light in 4 games. I think he's a very good prospect. I like the fact that he drew 46 walks compared to 35 strikeouts in the FCL. But just like very limited power. And I was nervous that he would go up to high A or to single A, and the no power thing would become an issue, and the trying to work counts would become an issue. Because don't get me wrong, there's a lot of not great pitching in single A either. But in FCL, there's a lot of guys who are never going to see affiliated ball. And just like you don't know where the ball is going, basically. So I think it's just easier to sometimes rack up a ton of walks in the FCL or the DSL, wherever you are. And again, it's only been 4 games. I don't want to get on him too much, but 4 games, he's got four walks, but in 11 at bats, 7 strikeouts, and the 4 outs are not hard hit balls. There was a very, very, very weak chopper to the shortstop, a very, very, very weak ground ball to the first baseman, a weak fly ball to left, and then a decently hit ball to center. It's only been 4 games. Maybe he'll go out there tomorrow and go 3 for 4 with 2 doubles or something. But just the fears I had with him did not get quelled in the first 4 games. He does work counts, which is nice to see. But I hope it's weird to say, but it's kind of like the thing Derrik's brought up with Franklin Arias a couple times. I would like to see him be more aggressive, go out there. It's cool that you draw walks. And I guess with Arias, it was the other way around, where it was like, it's cool that you can make contact. With Furman, it's kind of the opposite, where it's like, hey, it's cool that you can draw some walks, but maybe, on that 2-1 count, maybe swing at that pitch that's right down the middle instead of trying to get to a 3-1 count. Maybe recognize that is a hitter's count and swing at it. So I hope that that's something that they work on with him, because the eye's fantastic. He's only 18 also. I should mention that. He's still very young. It's not shocking that he didn't go to single A and immediately crush it the first 4 games. But there's a ton to like about his game. So I hope that that's something that gets worked on, is just maybe being a little bit more aggressive, because working counts and drawing walks is great, but it's not going to get you far if you're putting yourself into these 2 strike counts all the time, where then all of a sudden you have to expand a little bit and you're striking out and you're hitting absurdly weak ground balls because now you're trying to protect.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that I think that we talked about a bunch of guys that I think are too good for Salem, just the level, because of the competition in low A is just it's not great. And I think that the guys, you mentioned guys that have been there for a good chunk of the year, Nathaniel Uton, Starlin Nunez, guys like that, but then also the newer draftees like Skylar King had a great week. D'Angelo Ortiz had a great week. Jack Winay had a great week. These guys are all too good really to be in Salem, I think, but it's just a numbers game. Where do you play them in Greenville? This is where you really miss having a short season league. This is where you really miss having a team in Lowell, and it would be great if there was a team in Lowell for a lot of reasons. For me in particular, because I live 15 minutes from an empty stadium where they used to play. So I just think that it's too bad. And I think it hurts the development of these guys that they're not really being challenged at that level. And we saw it with, Mason White got to move up, right? And they had put in, Maximus Martin got to move up, but they can't bring all those guys up to Greenville. It's just not feasible, because that's just, you got to get playing time for everybody. So guys like Winay and Skylar King and D'Angelo Ortiz and those guys kind of have to do what they can do against Salem pitching. And maybe, I don't know if they have the traject machine in Salem. I don't think they do. But the best thing they can do is hopefully get some kind of reps and experience against actual competition that's going to challenge them. So I don't know where that comes from, but it's hard to get it right now in Salem.
Yeah, it also doesn't help that the season's almost over as well.
Right,
So
exactly.
kind of, call them up. Even if you move them up to Greenville, it's it's not going to do a ton because there's barely any time left. Hunter, I did see one of your tweets about Yhoiker Fajardo. Are we officially sticking on the nickname?
It was just
Which is what?
I just threw it out there.
Just throwing it out there.
It was just one of those things where
Are we still
what is the nickname? What
Big
what
Fajita.
Big Fajita.
I just threw it out there.
Yeah.
Just because he starts with
Okay.
FAJ and Fajita starts with FAJ. That was literally my whole reasoning. Just I saw his name while I was watching the game and I was like, oh, Fajita. And I was like, I'm just gonna throw it out there. And I got mixed responses. Some people liked it. I had one person reply to me with literally the whole tweet was just, but he's not Mexican, ? And I was like, well, that's not why I went for it. Don't try to throw me into your racism. I'm just.
Oh my God.
Just because he's not Mexican doesn't mean he couldn't. Maybe he enjoys them. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe he's just
Like,
a big
who
Fajita
knows?
fan. But I've been trying to throw nicknames at the wall. I threw Big Dog at Justin Gonzales a couple weeks ago. People seem to enjoy that a little bit. But that was more just, I don't even think that I was really claiming that as a nickname. I was just saying he's a big dude. But yeah, I got very funny mixed responses on the big Yhoiker talk, or the big Fajita talk.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I'm behind on that one. I like it just because it's very out there. I like the reasoning even more. Now that I know the official reasoning, I like it even more. But Yhoiker Fajardo, 4 innings, 7 strikeouts in those 4 innings, only giving up 1 run. Just, I mean, it feels like every week now we're just having a good start. Feels like every single week. If there's any, I will say this: if there's any places that sell fajitas in Salem and you want to get a menu item, I mean, hey, and maybe we're playing deal maker for Yhoiker Fajardo. Get a little endorsement with a
Yeah, get him some couple extra dollars.
Yeah, like come on, let's go. Get on the Yhoiker Fajardo. You know, whatever I want to call it. I mean, he only signed for 400,000. So I mean, you know, it's not nothing, but it's also, you know, he didn't sign for like the whole. You know, he didn't sign for like a boatload or anything either. He didn't sign for $1 million plus. So I mean, hey, let's get some extra dollars in his bank account. You know, get the big fajita meal at, you know. But maybe reach out to Taco Bell. I know they don't do fajitas, but like get it on the menu. Why not? The big fajita meal.
They have. I think they have fajitas.
There is a Taco Bell in Salem, Virginia.
Well, there definitely is. There's got to be, right?
I'm going to see if there's a Chili's. I'm not sure. Because I think they have fajitas at Chili's, right?
Yeah,
I
don't
think
they have
do. I was literally
the sizzling things, right?
Sizzle,
like they walk past you and they're sizzling.
I'm going to get to the bottom of this.
Get the big fajita meal. That's what we're calling it now.
Doesn't seem like there is one in Salem, Virginia. But anyway,
there's not a Chili's. Okay,
Chili's,
I was going to say
there is a Taco Bell. So, anyway, on that note, let me see. Good stuff out of the bullpen from Calvin Bickerstaff. 2 innings, 4 strikeouts, 3 walks. And it was kind of a lot of, like, the longest outing that anybody had was 4 innings, which I guess again they're trying to work everybody in terms of, well, actually Brady Taggart went 4 1/3. But they're trying to get everybody's innings in before the season ends here. And I will mention that Patrick Gale, who was the first guy to debut from this draft class pitching in the system, went an inning and a third. He did have 4 walks, but he only gave up 1 unearned run.
Great, another name for me to butcher.
I think we figured that out last week. Was it Gally? I don't know. I'll have to look it up again. But anyway, he pitched. He made his organizational debut. It was the first outing for a 2025 Red Sox pitching draftee in an affiliate this year.
It's Gallet. That's what Sox Prospects says. Is Gallet.
I was literally just going to look for that.
I don't have too much. Just today, Nicholas De La Cruz threw 2 2/3 scoreless innings out of the bullpen for Salem. 1 hit, 1 walk, struck out 3. He's looked really, really good at times, and then other times he comes out of the bullpen and it looks like he has no idea what he's doing. But he's been intriguing. And then I just had a couple notes on Yhoiker Fajardo. This really has just become commonplace for him. In August, he had hold on, let me find it. All right, so in August, 23 2/3 innings, struck out 36 batters, only walked 8, 1.14 ERA, 159 batting average against, 0.89 whip, 6 starts, technically kind of only 5. He threw 1 inning the one time because the game was postponed, but just he's been so ridiculously good. And I wouldn't be completely shocked if he gets a start in high A before the end of the year. I mean, the clock's kind of ticking at this point, but maybe next week we get the the promotion on like Sunday or something. And then he gets one start in high A. But we've talked about it so many times. It's incredible that he was the return for Cam Boozer. Like, that is a 30-year-old reliever who had barely any major league experience, and now he's got a 5-something ERA with the Chicago White Sox. And that's just what a slam dunk of a lottery ticket. Like, this is a guy who it's someone I mentioned when I did my article about players that I'm happy the Red Sox didn't trade at the deadline. Just the main reason I included him in that was he's already become so much better than a lottery ticket, but he would still technically be considered a lottery ticket. He's an 18-year-old in single A. I'm just so intrigued to see where he is at this time next year. Would not be shocked if he's maybe even already in double A. The swing and miss stuff is so good, or I should say the swing and miss is so good. The secondary stuff has looked good. He's hitting like 95, 96 on the fastball. I'm so infatuated with him. Like, the fact that the Red Sox two most exciting their most exciting hitting prospect and their most exciting hitting pitching prospect, not counting, Yhoiker Garcia or Payton Tolle, who I don't consider prospects now that they've played in the majors. I know everyone else does, but are two 18-year-olds like Justin Gonzales and Yhoiker Fajardo. Like, that's just so absurd. And I mean, you could say, if you want to say Franklin Arias is the most exciting hitting prospect, fine. A 19-year-old is the top hitting prospect. Like, they're the most exciting. There's just, I mentioned it all the way back at the start when we were talking about Payton Tolle, about like how there's always players that should make you want to continue to watch the system. Yhoiker Fajardo might be the pitcher that you should want to watch every start. Like, now that Payton Tolle's in the majors, Yhoiker Fajardo might be like the most must watch start in the minors right now. Like, especially with like Juan Valera is only going to get like 3 innings every time out. It's so easy to fall in love with him after watching a couple innings. Like, this is such a ridiculously talented pitcher, and I'm not going to get over the fact that the Red Sox got him for essentially nothing. That's just what a phenomenal trade. There's a lot of things Craig has done right, a lot of things Craig has done wrong. He nailed it on this lottery ticket move.
Definitely. All right. With that, I think we're good. All good on Salem. All right. I guess we kind of can move into a very brief DSL minute, Jake.
Their season.
Yeah.
We mentioned last week that they were the DSL blue team was in the semifinals for the league, and that they had an elimination game. It was on Wednesday of this past week, on the 27th, and they lost to the Athletics 10-5.
The Athletics got swept by the Padres. One of the Padres.
Yeah, the Padres won. Padres won the championship. Sadiel Delzine got the start in that game. He is 25th ranked on the Sox prospect site, so he's definitely a talented arm, but he kind of struggled a little bit in inning, gave up 1 run, 2 walks, and a strikeout. I wanted to shout out Justin Ogondo, who played first base in this game. He hit a home run. He, on the season in DSL, had a .433 on base percentage, just a .427 slug and 4 homers, but obviously showed good plate discipline. He had 26 strikeouts and 24 walks and 103 at bats. So wanted to give him a shout out. But yeah, so that thus concludes the another season of the DSL FCL Minute.
Perfect. And with that, it's first time in a long time. Time for Guess the Prospect. No, I don't think we're gonna get in under 2 hours, but almost. Be the first time in a while.
We'll see how quickly.
We'll see.
Kelly shopping. Yes, I want.
Let's go. No, let's go. Let's go.
Is it just like a regular? We're just like doing
regular Guess the Prospect.
Somebody that's in. They're in the system, or they're in the top 60 for Sox prospects?
Normal Sox prospects.
Right. I don't think we've done one of these.
We have not done one of these. We haven't done one of these. Wait,
yes.
Hold on. You're winning right now, Hunter. Like, was it 6-5?
7-5.
7-5.
7-5. Okay.
7-5, Hunter. All right. Here we go. This prospect was born in Littleton, Colorado, and also went to high school in that city, town, whatever.
John Hollowitz.
No.
He was from Pottsville.
That's right.
Hunter
I
would
know
know
that
that.
because I know that because I went to college 20 minutes from Pottsville.
Yes. This prospect has a birthday of December 16th, and they went to college for a school that wears the color red.
Christian Fauch.
Jake's got it.
I'm so bad with anything college related.
That is absurd.
My friends will sit around and do what college did so and so go to, and it could be like my favorite player of all time, and I'm like, I don't freaking know, man.
A college that wears red could have been Kyson Witherspoon as well. Like
It could have. Yeah.
I mean, it could have been.
Oh, he's not from Colorado, but
yeah, I was gonna say he wasn't from Colorado. That narrowed it. That's why I knew it wasn't him. But yeah, Christian.
But
Fauch
it wasn't necessarily
Arkansas.
someone who was drafted this year either. It could have been, anyone.
Just on my brain, I guess.
Where did Fauch go?
He went to
Arkansas.
Arkansas. Okay. I'm genuinely, that might be one of my worst sports related things is anything about college mascots.
I
What
figured
college
red
did
would
someone
be a
go to?
common
He
color,
tried. Derrik tried to make it difficult, but
I know. I figured red would be a common color, and I'm like, okay, red, common color. It's a common color. I would think it's a common college color. I mean, it's kind of one of the three primary colors. So I'm like, okay, duh. Can't be that easy, right? I feel like half the SEC and ACC schools combined are red or some version of red. I'm counting maroon or crimson as red as well.
Yeah. It was it could have been. Yeah. I mean, again, it wasn't. I knew it wasn't Witherspoon because I knew he wasn't. He's from Missouri. He's from Kansas City. So, so anyway, all right, within one.
All right, it is 7-6. This is gonna come down to the wire.
It did last year too.
It did.
Yes,
it did last year. It might be coming down
Jake
to the
won
wire.
10-9.
Yes.
Yeah. And we
Not
had
as many this year. But
we had to. Yeah, obviously last year's things got. Well, actually, we decided the title in the off season.
Yes.
Because unfortunately, I'm coming up on a year anniversary of all of my health issues from last year. Fingers crossed, I'll be here for the last 4 or 5 episodes this year.
Yes.
Everything's going good. I'm feeling good. But but last year we had to settle it in the off season because I missed the last 3 or 4 episodes.
And we are also closing in on our 100th show.
Yeah, this was episode 97.
So we've got 3 more for the big 100.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be kind of it for the season. I mean, we have next week. So next week, if people are still listening, next week is fingers crossed is a special episode. I sort of hinted before that it's something I'm really excited about that Hunter has organized for us. So we're really excited about that. And then the week after that will probably be the end of So I think we're aiming the end of Worcester season if they don't make the playoffs, which they might, but that would be the 100th episode, and I feel like we'd be pretty much that might be the last episode we do this year. So
I'll probably have a season awards one after that, probably.
I mean, usually that last week we don't have anything to talk about besides Worcester.
That is true, actually.
So I think usually the way that we do it is that is
because Portland's
we'll
going
see.
to the playoffs, most likely. Yeah, well,
we will see.
You never know, but so we are going to wrap it up. We came on just the tiniest bit over 2 hours. If next week goes to plan, it will not be 2 hours. It will not be under 2 hours next week either. But hopefully a special one coming next week for Jake and Hunter, as always. My name is Derrik. Thanks for tuning in to the Pesky Report Minor League Show, and we will see you next time.